Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 12th ceasefire. This truce is to be open-ended. During Operation Protective Edge, the Gaza-based terror group fired more than 4,500 missiles at Israeli civilian targets. Leading up to this latest halt in hostilities, Hamas launched more than 100 rockets, missiles, and mortars a day. The Foreign Ministry in Jerusalem said half were fired from schools, hundreds from cemeteries, and scores of others from medical facilities. One barrage slammed into a kindergarten playground in Ashdod. The third time in a week a children's play area has been targeted. Another killed 2 men in the Eshkol region. Northern Israel was also on the receiving end of rockets fired from Lebanon and Syria.
Israel is a country in mourning following the death of 4-year-old Daniel Traegerman, who was killed when a mortar fired by Hamas terrorists slammed into his home on Kibbutz Nahal Oz. His mother Gila said that when the warning siren sounded, Daniel tried to run to the family's safe room, but didn't make it in the 3 seconds that they had before the terrorist projectile exploded, sending deadly shrapnel flying in all directions. The IDF said that the mortar was fired from a Hamas-run shelter for civilians. Israeli President Reuven Rivlin eulogized Daniel, saying that he was too young to cross the street by himself, but old enough to know that the code red siren meant danger. The president said that Hamas terrorists have no regard for the blood of their own children, and we know that they would not spare our own.
The military wing of Hamas boasted that it continued to build rockets even while suffering devastating blows from IDF bombing. The terror group aired footage on its own TV station showing masked men assembling the deadly missiles. Hamas claimed that it still had the ability to manufacture rockets for use against Israeli civilian targets. Israeli intelligence agencies believe Hamas had 10,000 missiles at the start of Operation Protective Edge. The terrorists fired more than 4,500 at Israel, and the IDF destroyed another 3,000. This latest Hamas propaganda only strengthens Israel's demand that any reconstruction of Gaza must be accompanied by the disarming of the terrorist organization.
Bloodthirsty Hamas gunmen went on a killing spree in Gaza, murdering more than 24 Palestinian men and 2 women in just a few days' time. The terror group accused the victims of collaborating with Israel and executed many in public gatherings, including children. Amnesty International denounced the killings as cruel, inhumane, and grossly unfair. The cold-blooded murders have even shocked some Palestinians. An aide to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas also condemned the wave of executions, saying that they were provocative and carried out illegally without fair trials.
Immediately following the abduction and murder of Israeli teenagers Gilad Sha'ar, Naftali Frankel, and Eyal Ifrach in June, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the world that Hamas was responsible. Only now have Hamas terror bosses finally admitted that they indeed carried out the brutal attack. Sheikh Saleh al-Aruri, a senior Hamas official who's been given safe haven in Turkey, boasted that it was Hamas gunmen who kidnapped and murdered the Israeli students from a hitchhiking station. Khalid Mash'al, the political chief of Hamas, who has been hiding in Qatar, also confirmed that his terrorist organization was responsible. It was this sadistic attack that sparked the current war between Hamas and Israel.
Tinseltown has long been a bastion of the far left, but recently an open letter was signed by 187 actors, producers, writers, and others associated with the movie city, slamming the Hamas terrorist organization and blaming it for the devastating loss of life endured by Israelis and Palestinians in Gaza. The statement was published in Billboard, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and leading U.S. newspapers, saying that Hamas cannot be allowed to rain rockets down on Israeli cities, nor to hold its own people hostage, going on to say that hospitals are for healing, not for hiding weapons. Schools are for learning, not for launching missiles, and children are our hope, not our human shields. Cinema celebrities, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and Kelsey Grammer, were among the Hollywood heavyweights who had the courage to condemn Hamas brutality.
Fox News has filed an exclusive expose highlighting an internal United Nations audit that reveals that a United Nations Development Program Office, which funds and monitors spending on construction in Gaza, allowed at least 5 non-staff contract employees to handle core procurement processes that only staffers are supposed to do, including the ordering of significant civil construction activities. The finding adds a new level of potential credibility to Israeli accusations that internationally managed relief supplies to the Hamas-run enclave were diverted into the building of the elaborate and highly engineered tunnels that were used by the terrorist organization to launch and coordinate rocket attacks and incursions into Israel. The UNDP program is intended to assist the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, known as UNRWA, which has been accused for years of allowing Hamas to rechannel humanitarian supplies for its own paramilitary purposes. The Hamas terrorist group also stored rockets and other weapons in UN facilities.
The fanatical Islamic State is boasting that it will soon attack Israel and the United States with drones. A Canadian national who joined the terrorist organization is claiming that the group is developing the unmanned aerial vehicles with the help of engineers who studied in the West. He said jihadi fighters would launch armed drones from Mexico to hit targets in the United States. This follows earlier threats from the Islamic State leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who said that it is possible to carry out a campaign of terror through sleeper cells in America and Europe.
British and American intelligence services believe they know who beheaded American journalist James Foley. The suspect has been identified as Abdel Majid Abdel Bari. He's a 23-year-old UK citizen who traveled to Syria to become a member of the Islamic State terrorist group. Bari was a British rapper before joining the radical Islamist organization. The Sunday Times of London said he left his family's fashionable home in London, valued at $1.5 million, to join ISIS. He recently tweeted a picture of himself holding a severed head. His father, Adel Abdul Bari, an Egyptian national, was a close confidant of arch-terrorist Osama bin Laden. The older Bari was extradited from the UK to the US 2 years ago for his alleged role in the 1998 bombings of 2 American embassies in East Africa.
Israel's first Christian Arab pre-military class has graduated. The course is specially tailored for Christian Arab citizens who will enter the Israel Defense Forces, and the course included 4 women. Most Israeli Arabs are not required to serve in the IDF, but earlier this year the Army launched a campaign to encourage more Christian Arabs to volunteer. Deputy Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Ofer Akunis, praised the recent graduates and stressed that Christian Arabs serving in the IDF are partners in an alliance against radical Islam. The founder of the Israeli Christian Recruitment Forum, Father Gabriel Nadaf, has been a strong advocate of Christian Arabs serving in the Army. He believes that military service will help to better integrate the young people into Israeli society, as well as fight drugs and alcohol abuse and reduce unemployment in the Arab population.
For the first time in U.S. history, a bank has been put on trial for financing a terrorist organization. That financial institution is the Jordan-based Arab Bank, which has a branch in New York. After years of delay, 140 American victims of Hamas terror attacks are getting their day in court. The plaintiffs charge that during the second Intifada, from 2001 to 2004, the Arab Bank allegedly funneled money from a fund set up by the Saudi Arabian government to Hamas and Islamic Jihad terror groups. Any family of a Palestinian terrorist, including suicide bombers, who died while attacking Israel was to receive more than $5,000. In essence, it was a death and dismemberment benefit plan for murderers. The plaintiffs argue the money transfers were a violation of the U.S. Anti-Terrorism Act. Lawyers for the Arab Bank insist that any improper payments to the families of terrorists were due to misspelled names that slipped by the software put in place to stop such transactions.
NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, has sent an Israeli-developed micro camera to the International Space Station orbiting Earth. The tiny camera is the brainchild of Medigas, an Israeli company that usually supplies high-tech devices to the medical world. NASA plans to use the Scout Cam 1.2 in its visual inspection posable invertebrate robot program called Viper. Viper will use the Israeli camera to view areas on the space station that would otherwise not be visible and can enable mission control operators to try out a variety of remote repair technologies. Mediga CEO Chris Rowland says that it is an honor to be selected to help NASA.
In business news, internet giant Yahoo has snapped up its second Israel-based company this summer. The folks at Yahoo shelled out more than $15 million for Clarity Ray, which was founded just 2 years ago. The 6-person organization created software that detects fraudulent advertising. The technology not only protects publishers, but also consumers and legitimate advertisers. Last month, Yahoo also acquired Ray V, an Israeli-designed video streaming app. Meanwhile, global tech leader Apple has hired an Israeli Arab to serve as one of its vice presidents. Haifa native Johnny Sarouji is a graduate of the prestigious Institute of Technology. He'll be in charge of hardware systems associated with many of Apple's industry-leading devices.
And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here on a beautiful day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Jeremy Borowitz. He's involved in Israel Helps Maidan Wounded. Jeremy, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Josh.
Tell us a little bit about the organization.
So the organization was started by a group of, when a group of young Jews in Kiev, after seeing the devastation that had taken place in their country during the protests that took place in February, decided to send a group of the injured protesters to Israel, where they connected with family members and old friends of theirs living here who created a volunteer group to help care for the injured protesters and raise money for the care that they were given while they were here.
Why does Israelis care about helping people in the Ukraine?
Well, first off, I think that it speaks to the basic humanity of the people here, that they really care about all human beings, and they felt that they saw within the struggle of these Ukrainians a part of their own struggle, a struggle for their freedom, a struggle to live their lives in the way that they want to live them.
You know, this is happening with a backdrop of Operation Protective Edge. Has it been incredible to see how Israelis are helping the victims of war in Ukraine while we're having a war here in Israel?
I think it is amazing, and I think you also see, you definitely see a shared experience going on right now between Ukrainians and Israelis in the fact that they're both sort of in a war, struggling for their survival in really tumultuous times.
And Israelis, about almost 20% of them, come from the former Soviet Union or Ukraine and places like that in Eastern Russia, in Eastern Europe. Has that had an effect on how they support the Ukrainians?
Well, I think it's also split. I think you have, first off, you have people who come from a lot of different countries in the former Soviet Union. Those who come from Ukraine might have a different viewpoint than those who come from Russia. I think on the whole, Israelis have been very supportive, but at the same time, you do have certain people, certain recent immigrants from Russia who are perhaps more supportive of the Russian regime.
This organization that's helping the wounded in Ukraine, what are some of the things that they're doing?
Well, some of the most amazing stuff they've done is raising money to pay for the care of these injured Ukrainians. Also, when their family members have come to visit, and some of their family members stayed for 3 or 4 month periods, they put the family members up in their homes, they fed them, they organized trips for them. They visited the injured in the hospital daily, multiple times. They translated for them, and they really made them feel like this was their home.
Are there a lot of injured coming to Israel to get treatment, or is it really a trickle here and there?
You know, it depends what a lot means. I think in total it's been about 20, which certainly pales in comparison to the vast amount of injured that there are. But Israel has taken on many of the most serious cases.
You don't see a lot on the news about the injured in Ukraine. What are the numbers?
It's hard to say again exactly. You have over 1,000 killed and certainly several thousand with serious injuries.
We see that there are a lot of states around Ukraine that are nervous of this type of aggression from Russia happening to them. Do you see people from Latvia, from Estonia, speaking out against what's happening in Ukraine?
You know, again, it's split. I think there's a big split in a lot of these countries between the native population and the sort of the ethnically Russian population. I was in Latvia a few months ago, and there was the vast majority support Ukraine and Ukrainians, but there is an ethnically Russian and Russian-speaking population within Latvia that is more supportive of the Russian regime.
This organization, will it continue with time, or is it something that just was a reaction to what happened in the Ukraine?
So this is an interesting question that the organization is facing right now. How we've created this amazing group of dedicated volunteers. How can we keep it going even after the wounded are no longer coming in? And I think there is a real determination among the organizers to turn this group of dedicated people into something special and something continuous.
Jeremy, there are literally tens of millions of people watching the show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
I think I'd like to say that you know, it's easy to get caught up in your own lives. It's easy to get caught up in the situation you're in, but don't forget that across the world there are so many situations where people are suffering, and it's important that we always keep our thoughts and our prayers with all those who are suffering across the world, in Ukraine, in Syria, in Israel, anywhere where people are in need. It's our job as human beings and as people that we continue to believe in a better world, a more peaceful world.
Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
This is Jerusalem, Israel's capital city. It's an ancient and modern treasure that is beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
How do you respond to people who excel you in invention, creativity, and wealth? Do you envy them? Do you feel their success somehow diminishes you? Or do you admire what they've achieved and try to emulate it? These questions sum up what I call the Israel test. In the 1880s, European Jews settled in Mandate Palestine and wrought an agricultural miracle in that desolate territory, then sparsely populated by a few score thousand Jews and a couple 100,000 Arabs. The Jewish settlers drained malarial swamps, leached salt from the soils, terraced the barren hills, and planted millions of trees. They massively expanded the capacity of the land and enabled it to support a substantial Arab population. In the 2 decades between 1921 and 1943, Jews quadrupled the number of enterprises, multiplied the number of jobs by a factor of 10, and increased the level of capital investment 100-fold. Far from displacing Arabs, they provided the capital for a major expansion of Arab farms and enabled a 7-fold rise in Arab population by 1948 to a level of 1.35 million, the largest in the long history of Palestine. In other words, the Arabs came to what would soon be the state of Israel because of the Jews. By comparison, Transjordan, now known as Jordan, with the same geological endowment and 4 times the land, but no Jews, was able to sustain a population density only 1/10 of the population density of Palestine. Crucial to Israel's accomplishments were world-leading technological advances in the recovery of water through desalination, drip irrigation, and sewage recycling. Over the past 50 years, Israel has increased its population tenfold, its agricultural production 16-fold, and its industrial production 50-fold, while actually reducing net water consumption by 10% since 1948. This huge expansion of effective water resources enabled the land to support not only more Jews, but also millions more Arabs. Today, the state of Israel, with its astonishing achievements in computer science and other high-tech fields, distills both the genius of the Jews and the misdirected anger of the failed states that surround her. The great divide in the Middle East is not between Arab and Jew, but between admiration of achievement, along with the desire to replicate it, and envy, accompanied by violent resentment. People who admire success, who pass the Israel test, tend to be wealthy and peaceful. People who resent achievement, who fail the Israel test, tend to become poor and violent. So again, how do you respond to people who excel you in invention, creativity, and wealth? Do you envy them? Do you feel their success somehow diminishes you? Or do you admire what they've achieved and try to emulate it? The Israel test is the central divide in the world today. How you answer it as an individual, and ultimately how we answer it as a nation, is a test of our own will to triumph over enemies who hate us as they hate Israel for what is best within us. I'm George Gilder, a non-Jew who has passed the Israel test.
Anywhere else, this would be a vacation by a lake. But this is the Sea of Galilee. The wonders of Israel are beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
We are here in Haifa at the International Christian Embassy's home for Holocaust survivors. And let me tell you, this house here in Haifa is one of the most exciting projects which the Christian Embassy has undertaken over the past couple of years.
The ICEJ's home for Holocaust survivors consists of 9 buildings in one Haifa neighborhood. This small community serves as a haven of love and security for more than 70 elderly Israelis who survived the Nazi campaign of genocide. Thanks to the consistent giving of Christians just like you, we are able to provide these precious survivors with everything they need. The facilities currently include a synagogue, a medical and dental clinic, and an intensive care wing.
During the 65 years of the existence of the State of Israel, this is the best thing that Christians and Jews have done together. It's beautiful. It's all about this mutual giving and serving. Christians and Jews together. The media loves this. They appreciate the social solidarity that the Christians express towards the Jewish people, and of course towards Holocaust survivors, who right now are in the last decades of their lives. So we need to appreciate them now.
We invite you to partner with us in this important work in Haifa by making a donation today. Your donation will assist us with providing for the day-to-day operational costs at the home. Roughly $1,250 per month per person is what it costs to provide for the basic needs of the residents. Your giving will make a significant difference in the lives of these beautiful people, so please consider how you can financially support us in this important project.
Our goal is to have 150 survivors residing here, maybe even 200 Holocaust survivors. In this very moment, there are more than 1,000 survivors who have registered. I hope that the assistance of the Christian Embassy will be able to give everything we can to these people.
We go outside to eat in the restaurants, we go to the sea. We go to the theater, yes, lectures from the outside. And the food is still good. It is all excellent. Here I have friends, and I'm feeling here good. I am happy here, no?
If you have been supporting our project in the past, I want to personally thank you, because through your help we could host more than 70 Holocaust survivors in our home in Haifa, and as you well understand, once the house was completed, we are still challenged with ongoing running cost of this center in Haifa, and I want to encourage you to please consider to help us with the ongoing cost, but also with the cost to expand that center even more. You need to know that this home in Haifa has an incredible impact in Israel and also in the city of Haifa. Countless dignitaries came to visit us in this center. The media were reporting about what Christians are doing to support Holocaust survivors in the land of Israel. So your donation is not just impacting the survivors, but it actually touches the entire nation of Israel. You need to know that the vision of the International Christian Embassy in Israel is to show another face of Jesus and of the church to the Jewish people. And this is exactly what our home in Haifa is accomplishing. And I want to invite you again to partner with us. We are your outstretched arms and your feet here in the land. We are your embassy here in Jerusalem. May the Lord bless you richly out of Zion.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.